Hey everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. On this episode, I'm really excited to have with me Brandon Fields, and he's going to explain to us about an exciting new album he has coming out, and how that album will include members of the extended Kiss and Guns N' Roses family. I think you guys are going to be really excited about this album and really enjoy hearing about all the details of it. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. Now, without further ado, let's get started with my conversation with Brandon Fields. All right, hey everybody, welcome to the latest episode of the Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn. Today I'm super excited to have with me a special guest who's got some exciting news that he recently shared with us. Please welcome to the show none other than Brandon Fields. How you doing, Brandon?
Hey, what's up, man? How you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited for your news. And, as you broke on the internet on July 1st, you do have some exciting news. So why don't you share that with anybody watching this who maybe hasn't seen it yet? And I know they'll be excited about it.
Well, this fall I'm going to be releasing a new album under the Brandon Fields Experience moniker.
Yep.
But the exciting part this time is there's a new lineup, and it's just the greatest thing that I've done personally, and it's just got me so motivated for the future. It's great. So to get to that, in the band right now we've got Todd Kerns from Slash featuring Miles Kennedy and the Conspirators. That speaks for itself.
Absolutely.
And he's been in the band for a decade now too, so people know him when they're going to see these gigs. So,
Absolutely.
Then we got Matt Starr and Jeremy Asbrock from Ace Frehley's band. So I mean, if you're playing with those two guys, you you know what you're doing. So
absolutely, and
I could not be more excited to have these guys working with me.
Oh, absolutely, it's a stellar lineup, and one of the things as a huge Kiss fan. For the last, I guess, couple of years, some Kiss fans have debated a little bit back and forth. What's better, the Bruce Kulick band or the Gene Simmons / Ace Frehley band? And you kind of brought together the best of both worlds.
Yeah. There's no way I could choose in that.
No, it's a win-win is what I like to say. But somehow you were able to bring the best of both worlds together. So how did you do that? How did you get these guys all together on an album with you?
Well, I guess the best place to start would be when I met Jeremy Asbrock. I was 13 years old, living in Oak Ridge, Tennessee.
Okay.
This is when Jeremy was with a band called the Shazam.
Okay.
Power pop band from Nashville. So they had put an ad in the paper that week that they were going to be playing at the Civic Center in Oak Ridge, outdoor park area. They had like a band shell. And I had a buddy from school that I played guitar with all the time. And he was like, hey, man, there's a band playing down at the Civic Center. We should go check them out. And so I actually looked up some of their stuff on YouTube and some of their originals and everything before we went. And we get down to the gig, and there's not that many people there, which we've all been there before.
Absolutely.
And some of those are the best gigs. And hell,
without a doubt.
Now, even though there was only 10 people there, that could be a really important gig in the history of my music career. So
Absolutely.
I've been playing that night. So.
Right.
Anyway, so me and my buddy walk over to the stage around when they're loading in right before sound check and everything. And the singer kind of notices us standing right up in front of the stage. And, of course, we're 13, got long hair, and just look like scoundrels.
Right.
So the singer, told the rest of the guys he was going somewhere for a second. He was like, keep an eye on the gear. And as soon as he said that, Jeremy just kind of looked over at us and walked straight to us and was like, hey, you guys want to come on stage and play my guitars?
Oh, wow.
And
you had never met him before this night?
No, never met him. Never had no idea who this guy was personally. I mean, like I said, I'd watched a few live videos on YouTube.
Right.
This is 2009, so that's the quality of those cell phone recordings.
Right. Absolutely.
So we got on stage during their load-in and started. I mean, we got to play Jeremy's gear for a minute, and he was just super cool. And literally, it's just been me and him keeping in contact since then. So like I was telling you a second ago, when I opened my Skype account, the only other time I had used it was to take a guitar lesson from Jeremy a few months ago.
Right. Okay.
When the quarantine first started.
Right. Right.
So after I took that guitar lesson, he had showed me this real cool lick. And when I started cutting demos for this new record, I kind of implemented that at the end of one of my solos.
Okay.
And so while I was in the studio, I took a little video of that recording and I sent it to him, and I was like, "Hey man, that's that riff that you showed me a few weeks ago." I was like, "I just wanted to show you that I'm actually applying what you took the time to teach me." So
sure, okay.
That's always a good feeling. Like,
absolutely.
He might not ever hear anything from the people he gives a lesson to again. So
right.
I was like, "No, I want this guy to know he actually stuck something with me."
Right. That's so cool. So how did you get then Todd and Matt involved?
Well, it kind of snowballed from that. As soon the day that I sent that clip of that solo to Jeremy, I was just kind of like, "Hey man, what would it take for you to play a solo on this record?" And you know, I was going to take it either way, whatever he said.
Sure,
like,
of course.
I've known Jeremy for 10 years now, and I went out to the A shows and watched them and everything, but we've never like played music together.
Gotcha. Okay.
So he was like, "Yeah, man, I'd be down to do a solo on that." And then I'd seen how Matt Starr does all those. He posts all the time about doing session work for people. And I asked Jeremy, I was like, "Hey man, do you think it'd be worth reaching out to Matt Starr about possibly playing on a song?" I was like, "I know he does session work, but not for people like me, I would assume."
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and he was like, "It's the quarantine, right when everything was starting." So he was like, "Man, everybody's working. Everybody's not working right now."
Right.
So, he was like, "Hit him up." He's like, "It's at least worth reaching out." And I was like, "I won't drop your name or anything when I hit him up. I'll just see what he says about working with me."
Sure.
Jeremy was like, "No, dude." He's like, tell him Jeremy said that
okay.
we're going to get a hold of him."
Right.
So,
okay.
And then Matt was just super cool and just super awesome to work back and forth with like that. So, and then Todd was like completely unrelated to both of them. I was, because the original plan for this album was I just was going to have a bunch of people do a bunch of guest appearances on my track, because I just wanted to make a song or something with a bunch of my buddies and do that consistently throughout the album. So when I was like brainstorming people to reach out to, and once I had got Jeremy and Matt to agree to it, I was like, kind of got my motivation up a little.
Sure, absolutely.
It's like, well, who else can I reach out to that might be interested in working with me?
Absolutely.
And so obviously I don't hide the fact I'm a GNR fan. You see the user posters.
Absolutely,
Posters, they're the actual screens for the stage. So.
Oh, wow, really nice.
Yeah, we use those in the tribute band. This is how I get the wrinkles out of them. So.
Okay. Very nice.
So I emailed Todd one night, and then the next day got an email back from his people, and then me and Todd started communicating a little bit, and then I told Matt and Jeremy both, I was like, "Hey guys," I was like, I hit up Todd Kerns about playing on this record. I was like, "We'll see what happens." Little did I know that they were actually buddies with him, because Todd and Matt did Raid in the Rock Vault a few years ago.
Okay,
And obviously them all being on the Kiss Cruise together.
Sure, absolutely.
So I, for some reason, hadn't connected at the point.
Okay.
Because you can even go back and watch the Kulik set, and you can see Jeremy and Phil on the side of the stage singing backup.
Background vocals, absolutely.
Yeah, great set, by the way. I just watched that again the other night.
I was there, so that was absolutely amazing.
Oh man, totally jealous on that. just hearing some of those songs, and even in Ace's set, hearing some of those songs.
Agreed.
That's just it's a whole new experience. Experience like anybody else. So it's
agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Well, you know, to me, it's one of the things I'm taking from hearing you tell this story is you had the connection with Jeremy, obviously, which was nice. It gets you a little toe in the door, so to speak. But you, I'll say, took the bulls by the horn, so to speak, and you said, you know what, hey, I'm going to reach out to Matt. Hey, I'm going to reach out to Todd. It's not like you had a working relationship with those guys before this, right? That's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, they had no idea who I was.
That's so awesome.
And it's awesome because within a week of getting to meet these people, we're cutting a record together. So
that's amazing.
yeah, you can't get much more rock and roll than that.
No, without a doubt. So now, are these songs that you wrote yourself? Are they songs that they're writing with you? What's the songwriting like?
It's a little bit of a mix.
Okay.
The name, I mean, obviously makes it sound like I'm doing a load of the work.
Okay.
That's really not the case. I would say, so there's going to be 8 songs on the album. 7 of the songs I came up with the music for. There's an 8th song on there, which Jeremy's singing, which I just kind of brainstormed the riff and sent him to him, and then he just wrote a whole song around the riff. So
nice.
And then obviously we're all writing our own lyrics on the songs we sing.
Okay.
So,
Okay, nice.
Yeah, so we're all actually getting our own input on everything. It's a lot more of a band idea than it sounds like just from looking at the name and just having my name tagged on the band. So
that's very cool. So now, how do you decide? So you sing also, right? If I'm not mistaken, right? So how do you decide what songs you're gonna sing? I think Todd's singing a couple of songs. You just said Jeremy's singing a song. How do you guys pick and choose who's singing which songs?
Well, it was kind of me approaching them and asking them which songs they want, if they'd be interested on this certain track.
Gotcha.
When I first hit up Todd, and this is the funny thing, when I first reached out to all these guys, it was just for a guest appearance. I had no intention of cutting the whole record with them. We just had such an awesome time working on the song or two we were doing that it was too good of an opportunity for us to not be like, hey, let's just cut this whole record to 4 of us.
Absolutely.
It was just a very conducive experience. So it's a blast, man. And but everybody's getting their input on it. So it's fun. It's not just a solo project. Nobody's limited either. They're in control of what part they're playing. Like Matt was putting down his drums. He'd be like, hey, man, you want to call and chat about some of the songs we're going over tomorrow in the studio? I'd be like, dude, I'm not the drummer. You're the drummer. I was like, I trust your judgment. I was like, I don't think you're going to play some whack beat or something. So,
right. But you know what that says a lot about, Matt, and I'm not surprised, having spoke to him once or twice myself. It sounds like there's no ego there. Like you said, he's the drummer, but he's like, hey, you tell me.
Like I've been talking to other people I've been in a band with for years.
Right. That's so cool. And now you play guitar in the band also, right?
Yeah. I guess I need to kind of say that because we all kind of play different stuff in different bands.
Okay. Right. That's true. Very true.
Todd's going to be playing bass on the whole record. Then you've got Jeremy. Me and Jeremy are splitting all the guitars. It's not like one of us are just doing the leads. Neither one of us are afraid to let the other one take the spotlight for a few seconds. So there's no ego involved in that. So, and then got Matt on drums. So Todd's playing bass. In some circles, he's known as a guitarist. So it's, yeah, it's cool.
Right, absolutely. So now, so you're recording now, right? First off, so when do you think
we've got half the record done right now?
Nice.
And the other half we're going to do at the end of this month when our schedules kind of realign.
Okay.
So the album will be done beginning of August, and that's when we're going to release the first single, and we'll announce the artwork, the title, the track listing, and you'll be able to pre-order the album and everything. So nice.
And where will you be able to get the album?
It'll be on everything: Bandcamp, Spotify, Google, any of iTunes, any of the major platforms.
Nice. So you're saying the first single will be sometime in the beginning of August time period, if I'm understanding you right?
In August. We'll announce an official date once we get closer.
Of course. So, obviously nobody has heard the songs yet. What would you say the influence is? Like, what does the music sound like to you?
It sounds like 70s rock, man. Just we're all major Kiss fans and that, so I mean, you can kind of get the gist of everything that's going on. So,
right, absolutely.
Classic rock, you'll like this album. So
awesome.
It's good stuff, man.
Awesome. And now you've put out a couple of other albums in the past as well on your own, right?
Yeah, there's other albums out under the Brandon Fields Experience name. Only one of them is available online now, which you can go to Bandcamp and it's still on there.
Okay.
But this is going to be the first one with this lineup, and I'm so excited that I can finally talk about this with
Absolutely.
Dude, it's been so hard the last month or so.
Oh, sure, it's very hard.
Anything. It's like, or I get a demo back from the studio, and I'm just like, damn, I can't show anybody.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, no.
There's been a few people that I would pass it around to, but nothing to where I'd end up getting in trouble over
Right,
it.
right. Of course. No, you got to keep that close to the vest until it's ready to release it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you mentioned before seeing Jeremy when you were younger. What age did you start playing guitar?
I started when I was about 7 years old.
Oh, wow. Young. Okay.
Yeah, my dad played guitar, still plays guitar to this day. So
Okay.
he was always in bands. So I mean, I was exposed to that lifestyle at a real young age. So
that's awesome. So then, is your dad supportive of your decision to try to pursue this?
Oh yeah,
That's great.
He tells everybody that I'm kicking ass. He couldn't be. So,
that's
if
awesome.
it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be sitting at a desk somewhere working right now. Well, maybe not right now, but
right. Right. So true. No, that's very, very cool, because a lot of times parents don't necessarily want their children to pursue a musical career because it's so
he's
risky.
actually playing a guitar solo on the album. So
That is so awesome.
yeah,
That is so awesome. So
I'll be able to talk a little bit more about that once we get closer to everything. But
Absolutely.
he's going to be on the album, so that's cool.
That is awesome. Now, I know before you mentioned you originally were hoping to just record the album with a bunch of special guests. You've got 3 great musicians. There's no need for any other special guests. But did you go, besides your father, did you go with any other special guests on the album, or is it going to be basically those core guys?
There's 2 other people that are going to be making guest appearances. There's a track on there that features Alex Kane from Enough's Enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's cool because it's got this, it's like a 2-part solo where one of us does one half and then the other person takes it. So it's cool kind of getting to throw it back and forth like that.
Absolutely.
That's not the only track on there like that. I mean, when you got me and Jeremy both playing guitar, you got to both be doing
you got to trade off the licks, right? Absolutely.
And Eric Jack from Wild Street is going to be doing vocals on that tune as well. So
oh, nice.
Both of those guys come from that just like 80s, just Lee's metal background.
Mm-hmm.
So the song is very much like that, and I couldn't have picked a better track to reach out to them with. So there were other people, and I don't want to get into names, all people who were supportive of everything, but once it kind of got to the point of us 4 deciding to do the record, it was, like I said, what was the point of
it? Yeah, you don't need other people, right? Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, we were having such a good time working all these songs and everything, so it just made sense, man.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Now, if I heard you right before, I think you said it was like 2009 when you saw Jeremy perform. What was the first concert you had been to?
The first concert I ever went to was in 2001. It was the Volunteer Jam in Pittsburgh. It was Charlie Daniels, 38 Special was opening up, and
Nice.
Dick Betts band was there, and somebody else, but I can't remember who.
Okay.
I was only like 6 or 7 at the time, so my mom took me because I was super obsessed with Charlie Daniels.
That's awesome.
Like, I grew up in the South in Virginia, so I mean, you heard Charlie Daniels on the radio all the time.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
he was like my first musical obsession.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Then once I started listening to rock, I mean, it was game over. I took that obsession and ran with it. So.
Right. That is awesome. So, you know, one of the things I find so cool is I'll say, you're a couple of years younger than me, and I'll leave it there for myself, right? You're a couple of years younger than me. Yeah, you're into, like you said, that 70s rock music and all of that. How does, I'll say, a kid, and I mean that respectfully, like, how does a kid from today's age get into 70s rock music? Because I find that so cool.
Like I said, my dad, so I remember going and standing at the garage, like the window in the garage, and watching his band practice in there. And so just listening to all the stuff they were playing, and it was right in my face. It wasn't just like listening to the radio. I saw 3-4 guys like playing their asses off, just really rock and roll. So
absolutely,
it kind of got it going for me.
Absolutely.
I got to give kudos to my dad. He kind of exposed me to the whole rock and roll experience. So
Right.
that might be a good or a bad thing.
I think it's a great thing personally. I mean, I've got my kids, especially my daughter now, is into a lot of the, I'll say, more recent current rock music. But it started with her, being familiar and aware of the fact that I was a Kiss fan. And then, I joke with her that, she likes, I'm sure you've heard of My Chemical Romance. Well, I had downloaded a few songs when I first heard them, and I was like, and she saw them on my iTunes account, and she's like, I'm going to listen to that. So I think it's cool when parents pass on their love of music to their children. And, my son's into techno music and stuff, but that's cool. He found his niche. He likes it, and I think that's great when kids find their thing.
Yeah, some of the early stuff that I got into, and it was funny because I was talking to Jeremy about this because I saw him talk about it on Lizzie Hell's podcast the other day.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yep.
So one of the first records I ever went and bought, like this is like, I'm talking first 5 CDs I ever went to a store and bought, was Get Born by Jet.
Okay.
Because my dad's band did Are You Gonna Be My Girl whenever it like, first came out.
Nice.
And Jeremy was telling the story about how that record label it was released on. I can't remember who put that out. But when it was like 2002 when it came down to like signing the band, it came between the Shazam and Jet. Right. Mm-hmm. Jeremy was like, yeah, it was either Jet, the 20-year-old Australian kids, or the 30-year-old Americans.
So they went with the kids.
It was funny because that was one of the first records I got, and then Jeremy was like, yeah, in an alternate universe, one of the first records you got would have been the Shazam.
That's actually hilarious. That's
hilarious. I was into it at a pretty young age, and it was most part thanks to my dad. Now, some of the obsessions I had musically once I delved in definitely keep the fire burning. So.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, obviously you have behind you the 2 banners from the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion albums. You're a big Guns N' Roses fan as well, right?
Oh yeah, and I'm in a GNR tribute.
Yep.
So
mm-hmm.
That's a good outlet for my obsession, and I don't hide the fact. I know some guys who are actually in pretty decent old bands and have good careers that hide the fact that they're in tribute bands. And I'm like, I'm still a fan. Like, regardless of what point I get to in my career, I'm always going to be a Guns N' Roses fan. I'm always going to be a fan of Slash. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're a fan, flaunt it.
I agree.
You're a fan.
Well, why not flaunt it?
There's nothing wrong with letting people know that you appreciate their body of work. So
absolutely. So have you seen Guns N' Roses since the reunion? What did you think of that?
It was great. I've seen them twice. I saw them in Atlanta on the first leg, and then I saw them here at Louder Than Life here, and I saw Axl with AC/DC up in Detroit.
Nice. I missed that. I wish I saw it.
It was so great, man.
Mm-hmm.
So funny story about that. Me and my buddy get to the venue. It was at the Palace in Auburn Hills. I think it was one of the last big shows they had there before I think it got tore down.
Okay.
And so we drove from Knoxville up there for the gig, and we get there, and of course we had real shitty seats. We were sitting back, and which to us it didn't matter. You're there, you're enjoying it, and so we get there, and they're checking our tickets, and the lady was like, "Well, I got some good news and some bad news," and we were like, "Fuck!" Like we just drove like 8 hours.
Right.
And she was like, "Well, the bad news is your section's been closed down tonight."
Oh boy. Okay.
She was like, "Well, the good news is we've upgraded your seats."
Okay.
And so she was like, "Go to this desk and they'll give you your new tickets." Mm-hmm. We walk around this whole place, cannot find wherever the hell we're supposed to go. So we see an attendant like standing right at one of the access points, like right next to the stage. Like I'm talking like the area right next to the stage.
Okay.
Like first level. And we were just going to ask her for directions where to go. And she was a sweet old lady. And she was like, "Well, you guys can just sit here if you want." And we were like, "We're not going to argue with you." So
yeah, really.
She was like, "Just sit in the back, and then when the concert starts, whatever seat's closest that aren't taken, y'all can just move up there." So
nice.
like at one point, there's this little like catwalk where we're like 15, 20 yards maybe from Axl and Angus. So
that is awesome.
We're seeing the whole stage from the side. So that classic walk up to the mic that they do for the backing vocals, like dude, it looks so cool seeing that from the side. That's
absolutely.
The memory that sticks out from that is every backing vocal, just seeing them march up to the mics. That's
absolutely
awesome.
Absolutely. No, I remember when that was first announced that Axl was going to front AC/DC. I was like, I'm not so sure. That's going to sound like Guns N' Roses singing AC/DC songs. But then I remembered, hey, Guns N' Roses has covered a whole lot of Rosie and did an amazing job on that. I mean,
that's a great version of that.
It is. I've got an EP from 80. It's one of the songs.
There's a live gig in London.
Yes. It's like the B-side of...
It has the whole like intro speech that they cut off whenever they released it on the reissue they just did.
Yep.
I was upset about because I was like, that whole little like minute speech
Right.
that he did,
Right.
that somebody told him that he looked like Bon Jovi was like
right, exactly. Exactly. But no, I think their shows were absolutely amazing. I so regret that I missed one of those.
And
So
the best part was seeing some of those songs that you hadn't really heard them do. At the time.
absolutely.
Like,
Agreed.
they were doing Sin City, High Voltage. Like, it was great stuff, man. And he nailed both parts. It was like, it wasn't just like he did better on the Brian Johnson songs or he did better on the Bon Scott songs.
Right.
He was kicking ass the whole night.
On the whole catalog, absolutely.
And it wasn't, and you could tell that he was appreciating, like, as a fan, because
Absolutely.
during the guitar solos and everything, he's just standing back by the amps, just kind of dancing and watching Angus, and you're like, this is like a kid in a candy store for him.
Absolutely.
It's like he's getting to basically live out his childhood dreams.
Without a doubt. So now, how long have you been doing the Guns N' Roses tribute band?
About a year now.
Nice.
About a year now. We just got a brand new singer actually from Cleveland. So
Okay.
we saw him in a Skid Row tribute band, and whenever we needed a new singer, we were like, well, that dude can sing Sebastian Bach, and
Right.
he can sing his Axl Rose stuff. So
Right.
whenever we're allowed to get back out and start gigging again, then we got a new lineup to show everybody, and we're finally going to be able to put on that quality of show that we've been aiming for. Like,
Awesome.
not saying that the shows have not been great. I've had an awesome time playing with this band, but you know when it just starts clicking right. So it's going to be a lot of fun whenever we get back out there with this.
Absolutely. And I'm sorry if you said it before I missed it. What's the name of the tribute band?
Pretty Tied Up.
Nice. I love that song. Absolutely love that song.
Dude, it was like when I started thinking of the name for it, I was like, every name is taken.
Right.
I don't know. And then just all of a sudden it was like Pretty Tied Up.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was just nothing. And I was like, because I'm sure the reason I probably didn't look it up sooner or suggest it sooner was it's like there's no way there's not one name Pretty Tied Up.
Right. That's what I would have thought. But that's cool.
Yes, so it actually worked out. There's not another one in the world, I don't think. I could be wrong. I'm not. Don't hold my hand to a Bible on that.
No, if there's one somewhere in Australia, I'm not going to hold that against you.
Yeah, but now there's a couple GNR tributes here in the States who have the same name, and they're all really relevant, which has to make it confusing when they're going to play those places. So,
of course, absolutely.
Yeah, it's nice having the unique name.
Right. So have you and Todd ever spoken about Guns N' Roses? Obviously, him with the connection with Slash.
It's funny. The first time that me and Todd spoke on the phone, I was driving to Detroit from Lexington, and one of the first things I told him was like, when I told him I was heading to Detroit, he was like, "What are you going to Detroit for? Who do you know up there?" And I was like, "Well, half my bandmates are up here."
Okay.
I'm like, I'm actually in a Guns N' Roses tribute band. Okay. He was just like, "Oh, that's cool," and I was just like, yeah, it's a lot of fun. So it was brought up almost immediately. Right. And I mean, if you go to any of my social media, you'll see it on there for the most part. So, and like I said, I don't hide it. And we're not really promoting a bunch right now because unfortunately with tribute bands, your whole market is live shows.
Of course.
I mean, you're not putting out albums.
Definitely not. Right. Absolutely.
So, I mean, it's kind of dialed it back a bit for the moment, but as soon as everything opens back up, we fully prepare to get back out there and keep doing that.
Absolutely. Now, are you in another tribute band or cover band as well, Whiskey A Go-Go?
Yeah. Whiskey A Go-Go, it is marketed as an 80s tribute band.
Okay.
Now, we're not like playing specific characters. It's kind of, imagine Steel Panther without the gimmicks per se.
Okay.
Like, it's kind of still that whole thing. So, I mean, we dress like 80s stuff, so
nice.
And all the sets we're doing, it's all like Rat, Motley Crue, stuff like that. It's good stuff too, man. We're not just doing the hits. Like
nice.
We're throwing in some new stuff. We were supposed to play with LA Guns July 11th, which unfortunately got rescheduled.
Of course.
We were throwing some new stuff in there. I don't want to give it all away.
No.
I'll tell everybody my pick for the set.
Go ahead.
Is Romeo Delight from Van Halen.
Can't go wrong with that.
And I mean, it just fits so perfectly when we were coming up with songs. I had just watched the U.S. festival. They opened with Romeo Delight.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
so we're going to open with it. And it fits us well because the chorus, taking whiskey to the party tonight. And so,
Yeah, that's right.
So it's a good staple for us. So, and plus, I mean, those fucking Van Halen parts are fun as hell to play.
Absolutely. And the great songs.
Yeah, no, yeah. The good backing vocals I get to throw in on that
There
stuff.
you go. That's true. Michael Anthony, those vocals are amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, I love Michael Anthony's vocals, and man, it really kind of bummed me out when Eddie did that interview a few years ago. Whenever he was like, my backing vocals were more important than Mike Anthony's and had more soul to it, and I'm just like, dude, you're the best guitar player. Let's leave it at that.
Let's leave it at that. Exactly.
Let's let Mike Anthony have his moment.
Exactly. And
I wish that he was playing with those guys whenever they go out and do those gigs. And don't get me wrong, Wolfgang does an awesome job. Wolfgang's a very talented musician. I'm playing drums with Tremonti. Does a good job with him. But man, just to see, I've never got to see that original Force, so I would love him to take out Mike Anthony for one last time. So
I thought it was going to happen last summer. I was so disappointed it didn't. Hopefully Ed's okay, and hopefully one day they can do that.
Well, because Ross started talking about a bunch of stuff that I presume he probably shouldn't have been.
Probably, yep. Exactly.
Playing gigs and stuff.
Yep, absolutely.
But then it was like right after that when all the rumors started coming out about Eddie and everything, which we haven't heard anything bad, so I mean we can take that for what it is. So,
exactly. So fingers crossed.
It's always been a real quiet camp though, so you never know what's going on with these guys. So.
That's very, very true. Sometimes it's tough to be a VH fan because you don't know what's going on for years at a time.
Yeah, you go 5-6 years without
exactly
from that band. It's crazy. But that's one of the cool things about that band, man, is just the mystique to them. And
agreed.
DNR's the same way. Like they don't do press. They like for the most part. And,
yeah. Oh, absolutely.
The same way. It's like there's something cool about not always being so available.
I agree. I fully agree. You could saturate a market sometimes too much. So before you mentioned, understandably so, the different cover bands that you're doing aren't performing right now. Once hopefully this whole pandemic lightens up and people are allowed to go back to touring, will there be any Brandon Fields Experience shows for this album once it comes out, or is this only going to be an album?
No, we're gonna line it out, fingers crossed, whenever everything
that's awesome
kind of opens back up. But I mean, obviously, we all have pretty decent schedules for the most part, so I would assume it definitely wouldn't be a situation where we're going out and doing like a month at a time. But we've talked about going out and doing like 9 or 10 dates, like on a one-off like that.
Nice.
Nothing that's too stressful to where you're gone for a whole bunch of time, and our schedules don't really permit for that.
Right, of course.
We can still make it work, and we've all expressed interest in it. So I would absolutely love to play a gig with these guys. That
of course.
Just making the album and then going and actually playing it live, dude, that would be a great experience.
And you know, it's funny because I never realized until Todd started playing with Bruce Kulick's band what a great singer Todd is.
Dude,
oh man, it's incredible.
Some of the vocal lines he's laid down on this record, I'm just like, it's like, why have I even been singing? What have I been doing? But dude, and he does an awesome job in the songs he sings with Slass's band too. Like I know he was Out to Get Me and Welcome to the Jungle, like so, and he kills it with that stuff, man. And
absolutely.
I see that everybody's been calling him Tall Paul online.
Right.
Group stuff, but dude, he's a fantastic musician, man.
Absolutely.
He's one of those people that they're going to make it work in whatever situation you throw him into, and you can't get much more professional than that.
And I think that's so well said because, you know, like you said, I heard him do some of those Guns N' Roses songs with Slash through the years, but the first year he was on the cruise with Bruce Kulick, it was Bob Kulick was on that also, and Todd sang all the songs. He sang the Gene songs and the Paul songs. And I was like, he sounds good on both of them.
It was great, man. It's just seeing being a Kiss fan and hearing some of those songs, like I said, is just great. And hearing somebody actually perform them pretty well was
absolutely
on top. So.
Without a doubt. So before we were talking Guns N' Roses, we were talking about the EP. Do you collect? I get the impression you collect vinyl. You're a vinyl collector.
Oh yeah, both those tubs behind me right there, just full of records. And then
nice.
Obviously, if I could take my computer into the kitchen, I'd show you, all wrapped around basically the ceiling of my kitchen is just all Kiss vinyl. So
nice.
yeah.
You have any favorites, or is it just like the U.S.? Do you collect from around the world?
Man, honestly, one of my favorite records that I have is Kiss Is Hotter Than Hell. I've got a first pressing of that. It's just awesome condition.
Yep, nice.
And that's my favorite Kiss record. So it's
me too.
It's a cool pad. And dude, and it's just so awesome because the production's so bad on that record. And but that's what makes it that record.
Right.
And yeah, it's just the songs on there are great. You can't beat it. That 70s Kiss stuff, man. Not to take away from the rest of it, but there's a reason those four guys blew up like they did.
I agree. No, a friend of mine and I did a whole episode debating the first Kiss album or Hotter Than Hell, which one's better. I voted Hotter Than Hell by a hair. I mean, they're both incredible albums.
It's not by much. It's not like Hotter Than Hell blows it out of the water.
No, not at all.
The first record is equally as fantastic. It's really just a matter of opinion at that point. And, I mean, you could argue that there's a few fillers on the first one.
Right.
You could argue that if you're not a hardcore fan. But I love all that shit. So.
Right. No, and I love it all as well. I think for me, like people ask me sometimes, hey, if you don't know Kiss, what's one of the first songs you play? And I have a list of 2 or 3, and one of them, without a doubt, is Parasite. I think that riff is amazing. That song is amazing. One of my favorite songs for 30 years from Kiss has been Coming Home. Right, long before they were doing it acoustic. You know, so
version was great.
Right, absolutely. So, what other vinyl do you collect besides Kiss? Anything else?
Man, really everything classic rock. Like you can't see it, but I've got all the Zeppelin ones here on the wall right here. I've got the Van Halen ones right here.
Okay, so, very cool.
I haven't bought it as much recently because moving the last couple of years and having the kid and everything, it's moving vinyl was the biggest pain in the ass about being a vinyl player.
Absolutely.
I kind of dialed back for a second, and I've got a decent collection, so it wasn't like I was constantly hunting for stuff that I didn't have.
Sure.
So, but my big thing was I always tried to get every album that a band did.
Yep.
It wasn't just like I wanted my favorite ones from them or the first pressing. It's like you go into the kitchen, I've got every Kiss record up until Hot in the Shade. So
okay.
That's just because back in 2009, 2010, when I started buying vinyl, you couldn't get those records. They came out in the 90s.
Yep, absolutely.
It's not like nowadays where you can get every record that's ever existed on vinyl. And so if you found like Revenge on vinyl, it was like $300-400 because they just didn't print that shit in the 90s. So.
No, to that point, I was a teenager in the 80s. And I held on to vinyl for the longest time. I would not buy a CD player. Kiss Revenge forced me to buy a CD player because I couldn't find it on vinyl. So you are spot. I totally get that. Hot in the Shade was the last one I was able to get on vinyl. After that, I couldn't find it. The last
mass-produced Kiss one. So
exactly.
Exactly.
So I had to give in.
Great records. So I love hearing the debates about who did the better Hide Your Heart. And it's
right. So what's your opinion?
It's kind of 50-50. I'll say this. I like, musically, I think the Ace version is my favorite. But Paul just sings his ass off.
Absolutely.
On that. Anybody that says that that's not the best vocal version of that, it's like, come on, let's do it again.
Right.
Like, don't get me wrong, and I love Ace's vocals on that, but if we're picking and choosing, that's my 2 cents on it.
I agree. And you know, when Kiss was doing their farewell tour in 2000, not the recent one, and Ace was still in the band, at that time I used to say, hey, they were doing a couple of songs from the 80s. They should have done Hide Your Heart and given Paul one verse and Ace one verse. It was the perfect choice, and they just never did it.
Instead, they're doing like Heaven's on Fire and like shit that Peter, Chris, and Ace would have never played.
Exactly. So to me, that was such a lost opportunity. I would have loved to hear both Ace and Paul share the vocal on that, but hey, maybe one day on a cruise or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
I love the story that Matt told about whenever they were doing the video for Fire and Water. When bass was like, who should I get to play bass? And Matt just kept being like, I think you should get Gene to do it.
Right, exactly. Right. Then Matt's playing with Kiss. He's just the drummer.
He's basically Anton Fig at that point.
Right, exactly. No, I loved that. Was a great story. I remember him telling me that. That was a great story. He was just one step away. Step away.
You should get Gene to do that. No, that's
absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. So I know before we were recording this, we were chatting, and you had mentioned you had watched one of my previous episodes with Phil Schaus. And at the end of that, we started talking Star Wars, and you're like, dude, I'm a big Star Wars fan also. So I guess first things first, you're a little younger than me. So which trilogy is your favorite? Just out of curiosity. The original,
You got to go with the original.
Okay.
Without that one, there's none of
There's nothing else, right?
Now, as far as an impact on me, the prequels are what I remember coming out as a kid in theater.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And like I remember going to Taco Bell and getting the little ball that had Darth Maul and Qui-Gon Jinn fighting in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've still probably got that shit somewhere.
Right.
That was the one that had an impact on me as a kid, and it wasn't until I grew up a little more, like middle school, that I started actually getting into it. Like, dude, I was buying the printed book versions of the movies and everything, and taking them to school and reading that shit.
Right. No, I love hearing opinions from people like yourself because, look, I can admit I'm a little tainted. I grew up with the original trilogy, so whenever you look back to your stuff from your childhood, you always have nostalgia for that.
Yeah.
But I will openly say I think Revenge of the Sith is better than Return of the Jedi, and a step below the original Star Wars movie. I think Revenge of the Sith is a great movie.
I say if we're ranking just the 9 movies, if I had to go top 3, actually I can't even pick the third, but top 2, it's definitely Empire and Revenge.
Okay.
I'd agree with you completely. Revenge is better than Return of the Jedi.
Yeah, and that's nothing against Jedi. I love Jedi, but I think Sith is
Revenge
great.
of the Sith is the one I watched last night. Like I told you, I just started going back and watching them.
Yeah.
Revenge of the Sith is nothing but conflict the whole time.
Agreed.
So it's just like there's no really dead time in that movie. From the beginning, it is just balls to the wall. And then
I agree.
What better ending than fucking turning into Darth Vader?
Exactly. And I think that whole ending scene is amazing when Anakin has his legs cut off and he's like, I hate you. And Ewan McGregor, which I think was great in that movie, is like, I loved you. You were like a brother to me. I'm like, this is great.
Dude, it's intense every time you watch it if you're a Star Wars fan.
Absolutely.
But so, like I was saying earlier, something that was kind of interesting that I thought of for the first time. I was able to go read a few fan theories about it because I realized I obviously wasn't the first person to think of this shit.
Right, of course.
So far, up until today, I've watched 1 through 4 in the last 2 days. So
nice. Okay.
Anakin built C-3PO.
Right. Yep.
And so when he leaves and comes back at the beginning of Attack of the Clones, C-3PO's living at Smee's house still.
Yep.
With Lars and all of them.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so fast forward to A New Hope whenever C-3PO is on this Jawa junk trader.
Right.
And Lars walks up to C-3PO and is just basically who the fuck are you?
Right.
I didn't own you for 10 years.
Exactly.
I mean, I get that there's other droids in the galaxy that look like C-3PO, and C-3PO's memory was wiped at the end of Revenge of the Sith.
Right, so that's why C-3PO wouldn't remember.
That's only 10, 15 years. You're going to tell me Lars didn't remember C-3PO? Come on.
No, there's a few things in the timeline because of the way the movies came out that you look at it and you're like, there's holes in that story. But, for me, I just I ignore it, and I say, okay.
I'm the same way too, man.
But that's interesting.
The thing about being a Star Wars fan is other Star Wars fans.
Right.
It's like every movie that, especially the new trilogy, just gets shit on whenever any of the movies come out.
Right.
And I'm just like, why are you guys not just stoked that there's still new Star Wars movies coming out?
Absolutely.
Just take it for a Star Wars movie, man. That's what it is. And people forget that. It's still just a fucking movie.
It's all it is. It's just a movie. So what did you think of the new trilogy?
I like it, man. And I will say this. I think Force Awakens was the weakest one out.
Okay.
Because it was shot by shot A New Hope.
Oh, 100%. It was a retell.
When we left the theater, me and my buddies that went and watched it, I was like, so the end of the movie shows Rey finding Luke on that deserted island. And I was like, wonder what the second movie's going to be like. Probably her training with the Last Jedi on a deserted planet.
Right.
Same thing as Luke training with Yoda on Dagobah. Like,
Absolutely.
I was like, they're literally just trying to hammer home the nostalgia fact on it. But it's, dude, I still like it.
Yeah.
Like, The Last Jedi, that's my favorite one from the new three.
Me too. Me too.
Yeah,
me too.
Them using Yoda as a puppet and just Luke being an absolute master of the Force at the end of that movie. That's what more can you ask for?
I agree.
People bitch about the CGI, so they bring an actual puppet Yoda back.
Right, exactly.
And they want to see Luke Skywalker actually fighting because that was the argument with The Force Awakens, was they teased everybody about him being in it. They literally gave everybody what they wanted, and they thought it was the worst thing they could have got. And I'm just like, I could not believe the rest of you people that are saying that you're Star Wars fans right now.
Of the new trilogy, I think that was, for me, my favorite. I didn't mind that Luke Skywalker was a grumpy old man. That didn't bother me at all. To me, you know, in the first trilogy that came out, he saved the galaxy then. And in The Last Jedi, well, if he hadn't stepped in, all hope was lost, right? I think that's what Princess Leia says. All hope is lost. And then he comes in and saves the day.
Still, like, verbatim, it's the Skywalker family saving the galaxy.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's not to like about that? To me, I don't know. I don't know.
So it's great. And fuck anybody that thinks
exactly. That's the way I feel too. And again, you started off by saying it. The original trilogy, that's where it started. It's still my favorite in terms of the three movie pack. But I enjoyed the new ones and the prequels. I'm not a big Phantom Menace fan at all. I don't like that one. But the other two I like.
More than I do Attack of the Clones.
Interesting. Yeah, a lot of people do say that.
I just think Liam Neeson was awesome in that movie.
Understandable.
I'm in the 1% that did like Jar Jar Binks.
Okay. Yeah, you are.
I mean, outside of Star Wars, I typically only watch adult cartoons like South Park and Family Guy, stuff like that. So I love the humor aspect, and so I know a lot of people bitch about Jar Jar kind of being too cliche, gaggy kind of funny.
Right.
To me, I was like, no, that's a good character.
I agree. I agree.
The theory of him being a Sith Lord is just the funniest thing ever to me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to rope us back in because I know probably half the people watching this saying, Star Wars, really, Mike? You don't do a Star Wars show. You do a music show. But I swear, I think I'm going to start a Star Wars show on the side because anytime I'm chatting with somebody I'm a Star Wars fan, I'm like, yeah, we can talk Star Wars.
You can get a good group chat going with me, you, and Philip Schaus.
There you go. Absolutely. So with the new record that's coming out, in the fall or later this year, where could people find you online? Where could they get information about this?
They can go to brandonfieldsmusic.com. They can go to facebook.com/brandonfieldsmusic. They can go to brandonfieldsmusic.bandcamp.com. And then obviously I've got my official Twitter and Instagram pages, so you can go find those. Just type in my name and you'll see it.
Awesome.
I think that's everything where you can find me at.
Awesome. No, that's cool. And I know I'm excited to hear the song, the first single coming out, hopefully in the August time period. Now, I have to ask you one other thing here. Obviously, we're in a pandemic. How are you guys going about recording this? I'm assuming you're able to email files back and forth, or are you guys getting in person?
Definitely not getting together right now. We all live so far apart from each
other.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the travel being locked down right now. It's just not realistic. You got Matt's in Los Angeles and Todd's in Vegas, Jeremy's in Nashville. I'm up here in Lexington, Kentucky. So we're all just really far apart, and it's just not realistic with everything that's happening right now.
Of course.
Now, in the future, if this lineup decides to go back and make another record in the future, I would love to get together in a studio and just cut the whole thing live, because you can't beat that, just recording the whole thing in the same room. That's how we did the last album with the other lineups. So.
Yep.
And it's just a way more natural environment when you're cutting a record with no click track or anything like that.
Sure.
it's cool, like naturally hearing the band speed up and slow down.
Right, right. Of course, that's part of playing music live. It's not perfect. It's not meant
You're
to
going
be.
to do that live anyway.
Of
So
course.
it makes it sound more authentic.
Right, absolutely.
I want when people come out to a show to still recognize the songs.
Right. Absolutely. And you said there's going to be 8 songs on the album?
Yep, 8 songs.
Awesome.
As it is right now, Todd's going to be singing 3 of them. I'm singing 2 of them. Jeremy's singing 1. No, wait, I'm singing 3. Sorry, my math's a little off.
That's okay.
It's me and Todd are at 3 apiece, and then
Okay.
Jeremy sings 1, and then the track that has Eric Jack from Wild Street and
Sure.
Alex Kane from Enough's Enough. So
Awesome.
yeah, and Alex was real easy to reach out to for that as well, because my 3rd show with Whiskey A Go-Go, we were opening up for Enough's Enough, and Alex was like the only one that I kind of like had any interaction with.
Okay.
We both kind of went out to smoke at the same time, and it wasn't, we were talking, we both just kind of gave each other that.
Right. What's up? Right.
And, so, I mean, that made it easy having that connection that our bands had played together before. And we're actually playing with them again in October. I think October 2nd, we're playing with them and Faster Pussycat in Detroit.
Oh, nice. That'll
be my first gig with Faster Pussycat. So
nice.
Well, this venue's actually still hosting shows.
Are they really?
Same place we were supposed to play with LA Guns, and
okay.
Like my bandmate from Whiskey Go-Go, the bassist, he has a booking agency, and he puts on his own like tribute festivals as well. So they just had a tribute festival a couple weeks ago, and his Priest tribute headlined it, and they said there was probably like 200 people there. And,
oh wow!
And they said there was actually a lot more masks than they expected.
Right.
I mean, because you think people were just shitty until
right. Right, exactly. Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I know last week I was talking to Ron Keel, and he said that they did a show in South Dakota recently, and my daughter works. I'm on Long Island, New York, and my daughter works in a rock club here, and they were starting to get emails about shows being booked in September.
Which one did you work at?
The Paramount.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I've played up in New York a couple times. Definitely nowhere like big. I'd say probably the biggest place that we played was this was actually my first tour. I was just doing acoustic stuff. I played at Arlene's Grocery over in Manhattan.
Sure. Yeah, I know. Yep.
Yeah, that was the second place I ever played in New York City. So.
Nice. Yeah. So I'm about 25 miles east of Manhattan.
Nice.
So, but hey, hopefully the point being here, hopefully clubs are able to open up. Hopefully it's safe enough, and hopefully you get out and start playing again.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to booking some shows with this lineup. Like I said, we're just having an awesome time making this record. There's no stress involved in it at all.
Absolutely.
And it's like these guys will text me and be like, "Hey, man, check this out and tell me if you like it or something like that." And I was like, "Of course I'm gonna fucking like it."
Right. Absolutely. Cool.
As like I've told Todd this too, up until like while we're still recording. Like I'm still a fan, man. Like even though we're doing this album together and like we're in the same lineup, it's like I'm still a fan of these guys' work, man. So I'll never stop being a fan. And I mean, Matt Starr said it before, and it's like you never feel bad about letting somebody know you appreciate their work. So
I agree.
Yeah, it's. Because people will be like, well, I didn't want to bother you. It's like, no, if somebody wants to come tell me that they love what I'm doing, I love that. That's what you do it for. You're an entertainer. You're entertaining people. You want people to enjoy your craft. So
absolutely. Well, I have a feeling you're going to have a whole bunch of fans excited to hear this when this comes out, and I'm going to guess a lot of accolades are going to be coming your way once people get to hear this.
I hope so, man. Yeah, I've definitely got a good group of guys holding it together for me. So now I just got to play my part well. So.
There you go. Anything else you want to talk about or mention to the fans before we wrap up here?
I guess just stay in tune to the Facebook pages and the website, and because August is going to roll up on us quicker than we realize.
Absolutely.
So just looking forward to getting the single out and just keeping this whole process going, because it's been a blast working with these guys. It's a great lineup. Everybody that I reached out to in the beginning, even like not musicians, maybe like marketing firms or any labels or anything like that, they're just all like, "God, this lineup, man, this this is a really interesting lineup you've thrown together."
Absolutely.
Obviously, they're not too familiar with me, but the fact that those three guys are cutting a record together is a cool thing, and the songs are good. So I mean, it speaks for itself when you hear this stuff. So it's
Absolutely.
the whole process has just been great.
And maybe you'll get lucky. You'll even be able to press a vinyl for it and add it to your wall.
Dude, I would love to. I've actually already been looking into it.
Awesome.
So it's,
Awesome.
With the company that printed up my last CD, actually just since I've released that album, has started doing vinyl pressing. So
Nice.
Gonna crunch some numbers and make sure that we can make it work and everything. Because
Awesome.
Vinyl is still it's still not as accessible as printing up a couple CDs. So.
That's true. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, certainly, as the album gets released, I'll be plugging it on my page. I'm looking forward to everybody hearing it. I think it's going to be great. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for the guys, and I'm excited for the fans. I think we're going to get a great product, and I'm really looking forward to it being released.
I'm excited for it just listening to it myself as much as any fan's going to be. This whole process has been great. I couldn't have asked for three other guys that could have just been more comfortable to work with. And like I said, man, it doesn't feel like I just met these guys, which I just meet Jeremy. I've known him, like I said, but we've never worked together like this. So
right, sure.
It just feels really natural writing music with these guys. And it's cool when you find that, because it doesn't matter how good you are. You can stick four guys in a room. They can be the best there ever was.
Agreed.
And if they don't have that chemistry,
Agreed.
It's just not going to work. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
We all have a common interest in our tastes and everything like that. So it's not like we're fighting over what this should sound like or something, because we're all big fans of the same stuff. So
that's awesome.
It's a lot of fun, man. And I'm so glad I can finally talk to it about
Absolutely.
somebody about it. So I appreciate you having me on the show, man. And it's been fun. Like I said, this is my first podcast. So this is
hopefully not your last. I have a feeling people will start knocking on your door now.
Well, hopefully, and I appreciate it very much, man. It's been a lot of fun chatting with you.
Awesome.
We'll have to do it again sometime when it gets closer to the album. So.
Absolutely. That sounds great. So awesome, Brandon. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I look forward to August. I don't want to waste hope the summer goes away too quickly, but I'm looking forward to August now. So thank you.
Too. Oh, yeah. Thank you very much as well for having me on today.
Awesome. Take it easy.
You too, brother.
Alrighty. There you have it. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Brandon. I know I'm super excited to hear all about this, and I'm really excited to hear the songs when they get released. I'd like to take a moment and thank Brandon for taking the time to share this information with me exclusively on my show. This was the first podcast he did, and I'm honored that he chose my show to do it on. Thank you, Brandon. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button below. If you're listening to one of my podcasts, subscribe over there as well. Also, head on over to Facebook and follow my page, The Rock and Roll Experience with Mike Brunn, where each and every day we talk about all the rock and roll music that you love. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. See you next time.